I didn't hear you.
your cell phones, I'll turn it off.
Court of Common Pleas is now in session. The Honorable Allison McCarty presiding.
Thank you. Be seated. All right. The jury has indicated that they have a verdict. The court would like to indicate for the record that since Tuesday, October 13th at 1:57 p.m., the jury has been sequestered during the entire deliberations. This sequestering took place under the guidance of my bailiff, court staff, and Ruth Squires, a court employee, along with numerous sheriff's deputies. The court would like to thank those staff members and employees that volunteered to work those extra long hours. The jurors' hotel rooms were checked. They did not have television access, radio, or internet access. The entire floor of the hotel was sequestered, with the exception of the court staff or security who were present. The alternates have been kept sequestered, separate and apart from the 12 jurors while the jurors were deliberating. I'm now asking a question of all 12 jurors, and I'm just going to ask you to please answer this question yes or no as a group. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as a result of your deliberations, have you reached a verdict?
Yes.
And now our foreman, Mr. Persley, juror number 7, you've been selected as the foreman, is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to ask some questions of you now individually. Master Foreman, as a result of your deliberations, have you been able to reach verdicts in this case?
Yes, we have.
And have those verdicts that you've been able to reach been signed by all 12 of your members?
Yes, we have.
Also, you have been sequestered since you started your deliberations, is that correct?
That is correct.
To the best of your knowledge, has your jury been free from any influence outside of the jury room?
Yes.
And have only the 12 jurors actually participated in the deliberations, no alternates, is that correct?
That is correct.
All right, thank you. Can you please hand those verdict forms to my bailiff? I need to review them. Okay, I notice on one of the counts that there is a verdict form missing. It's for one of the specifications. I need to have that form, whether it's blank or filled out. I'm going to return this verdict form to you by itself, and I will provide the blank form to you and ask you as the 12 panel to please review it and determine if you need to fill it out. I think you understand the rules of when you would need to do that, and if so, please do fill it out, or please indicate to the bailiff that you don't need to fill it out. But I'm going to ask you to step back into the jury room as to this particular verdict form on count 10, okay? Just the 12 need to go back. Everybody can just stand for a moment, all right? All right, just the 12, please. Thank you. Be seated. All right, then, I'm just going to ask you a couple more questions as to this particular form. Similar to the ones I previously asked, Mr. Foreman, as a result of your deliberations, were you able to reach a verdict as to that specific specification form that I presented to you?
Yes, we were.
All right. And has that, if necessary, if it was necessary to be, has it been signed by all 12 of your members?
Yes, it has been.
All right. And I'm going to ask you then to hand that. We already did. Okay. So this is now the completed count 10 with the additional form filled out. I will note for the record that a couple of these verdict forms, let me indicate, some of them had originally had the date of the 14th, which would have been yesterday, filled out, and then I note that they're crossed out and the number 15 was written in, which would reflect today's date, and it's got the initials DP. I presume those are your initials, Mr. Pursley?
Yes, they are.
All right, and so were you just correcting the date to reflect the fact that today is the day that you're formally rendering your verdict?
Yes, that is
Okay.
the case.
So you may have signed these yesterday, but you wanted to reflect the correct date?
Yes.
All right, thank you. All right, at this point then, I'm going to hand these back to you. Ask the foreman and the defendant to please rise. And Master Foreman, speaking for the jury, I'm going to ask you to indicate what the verdicts are on each count. I'm going to go through them all with you and ask you to answer the questions as appropriate depending on the verdict, okay? So we will start with count 1, aggravated murder of Justin Winebrenner. I'm going to ask you, how do you find, and you just indicate we, the jury, either find guilty or not guilty as to the questions, okay? All right. As to count 1, aggravated murder of Justin Winebrenner, how does the jury find?
We find the defendant guilty.
As to specification 1 to count 1, asking the question whether this offense of aggravated murder was or was not part of a course of conduct involving the purposeful killing of or attempt to kill 2 or more persons, how does the jury find?
We find that it was.
As to specification 2 to count 1, asking the question of whether the defendant did or did not discharge a firearm at a peace officer, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to specification 3, asking the question whether the defendant did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during the course of this offense, how did the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to count 2, murder of Justin Winebrenner, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to specification to count 2, whether he did or did not discharge a firearm at a peace officer, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to the specification 2 to count 2, whether the defendant had a firearm on or about his person during the course of this offense, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to count 3, murder of Justin Winebrenner, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
And as to the specification 1 to count 3, whether he did or did not discharge a firearm at a peace officer, how did the jury find?
We find that he did.
And specification 2 to count 3, while committing this murder, did he or did he not have a firearm on or about his person, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to count 4, the felonious assault of Justin Winebrenner, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to the additional finding, whether Justin Winebrenner is a peace officer, how does the jury find?
We find that he is.
Okay. And then as to specification 1 to count 4, whether the defendant did or did not discharge a firearm at a peace officer, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to specification 2 to count 4, whether the defendant had a firearm on or about his person, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to count 5, the attempted murder of David Wokati, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
And as to the specification, whether the defendant did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during such offense, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
As to count 6, the attempted murder of David Eisel, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to specification 1 to count 6, whether he did or did not have a firearm on or about his person, how does the jury find?
We find that he did.
Count 7, felonious assault of David Wokati, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to the specification whether he did or did not have a firearm on or about his person, how does the jury find?
That he did.
Count 8, felonious assault of Jennifer Imhoff, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to specification 1 to count 8, whether he did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during said felonious assault, how does the jury find?
That he did.
As to count 9, the felonious assault of Michael Capes, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to specification 1 to count 9, whether he did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during said felonious assault, how does the jury find?
That he did.
Count 10, the felonious assault of Thomas Russell, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to the additional finding about whether Thomas Russell is or is not a peace officer, how does the jury find?
That he is.
Specification 1 to count 10, whether the defendant did or did not discharge a firearm at a peace officer while committing the felonious assault, how does the jury find?
That he did.
Specification 2 to count 10, whether the defendant did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during said felonious assault, how does the jury find?
That he did.
And count 11 is the felonious assault of David Eisel, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
As to specification 1, whether the defendant did or did not have a firearm on or about his person during said felonious assault, how does the jury find?
That he did.
Count 12 is having a weapon while under disability, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
Count 13 is carrying concealed weapon, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
Count 14, illegal possession of a firearm in a liquor permit premises, how does the jury find?
Guilty.
Count 15 is the tampering with evidence charge, how does the jury find?
Not guilty.
All right. Thank you. I'm going to ask you to pass those verdict forms back to me. And I'm going to ask counsel to meet me at sidebar with the court reporter. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what this means is the court has explained to you from the beginning that there's a possibility that there could be what we call a second phase or a sentencing phase portion of this trial. Based upon the verdicts presented here today, that sentencing phase will be necessary. In speaking with the lawyers at sidebar, we had originally set this coming Tuesday, October 20th, as the date in which we would hold such a hearing if it was ever to be necessary. And that date is still on the schedule. The court is not 100% certain that we're going to go forward on that date. I need to confirm more with counsel about that, okay? So I know you have left all your contact information with my bailiff. You are to remain under all the admonitions that the court has previously advised you of, but you are now going to be released to go back to your homes and your daily lives. You're not going to remain sequestered. If and when we have that hearing from that morning, you will treat that as though you did Tuesday, where you will bring your bags in, and that will be the date that we would presume that you would begin your sequestration. I don't really know how long the evidence will take. It could take more than one day, but we'll just presume it. So I'm letting you know now, once the court confirms a date with you, you need to be prepared and bring in your suitcases as we've previously discussed. So certainly, we're not going to see you before Tuesday, all right, but if the court decides that another date is necessary, then we're going to contact you and discuss that and make sure everyone is available. I'm just not 100% sure yet. I have to consult with counsel a little bit here. So without any further information, I'm going to tell you to be here Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., okay? We'll probably get started about 9:30. Bring your suitcases, and once again, you will still remain under all the admonitions that I've previously given you to what you are not permitted to discuss this case. You are not permitted to allow anyone to discuss it with you. You are not permitted to investigate this case on your own. You are not permitted to talk to anyone that's been involved in these proceedings or has been observing these proceedings, and you are not to read, watch, see any media related to this case. That means you are not to watch any local news stations. You are not to read any online news, local news outlets such as the Plain Dealer or the Beacon Journal or any of the local newspapers that are online. And you are not to read any hard newspapers without having someone else review it first and remove any articles that may be present about this case. Everyone understand that? Please answer out loud.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to allow you to go back to the jury room. You can prepare to leave. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. I forgot. Thank you. I do want to ask you one more question. We're going to go down the line and ask the first 12 jurors this question individually. Okay? I'll just refer to you by number. And to the question I'm asking each of you, the verdicts that have been read here in open court today, are these in fact your verdicts? And your answer would be yes or no. And we're going to start with juror number 1. Are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 2, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 3, are these in fact your verdicts? Juror number 4, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 5, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 6, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 7, Mr. Foreman, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 8, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 9, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 10, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 11, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
And juror number 12, are these in fact your verdicts?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now I'm going to ask all of you and the alternates to go ahead step back in the jury room, and you can prepare to leave, and then I'll have Shay let you go at the appropriate time. All rise. Thank you. Be seated. I don't think there's anything else we need to discuss on the record. Is there?
No, I'm scheduling. We'll get the timer real quick.
Okay. All right. confirming the date as of now for October 20th at 9 a.m. for the mitigation hearing. All rise.
Okay, great. Case came up last year. Yeah, 14 years old. But I want to read that case. See why. Yeah, it's just the last name spelled like that. Yeah, it does. We would, we'll have that through the same. So you think most likely I think so now, because I mean, we talked about the fake. There's nothing really bad, nothing really good. It's unfortunate. So, what I am going to do is slightly unbelievable, since we're going to show this. I don't